What's up, pre-algebra kids? It's Mr. Hutch here, and today we're talking about three-dimensional figures. If you're at home or just catching up, follow along. This isn't too bad, but you do need to have an understanding of how cross-sections work. A lot of this information is things that you've learned in the past. You've been doing three-dimensional shapes since elementary school. Or three-dimensional figures. We're just going to throw some new names at you and give you some exposure to cross-sections, which is something new. All right, so a couple vocab things. First of all, we have a polyhedron. That's a three-dimensional figure with flat surfaces that are polygons. Okay, a prism is a type of three-dimensional figure, but it has at least two congruent parallel faces. So when we talk about parallel face, we have a face here and a face here. They're parallel with each other. They're on like opposite ends of each other. And so this is what's called a prism. Same thing as we have this face and this face, so that's called a prism. It has at least two congruent parallel faces. Okay, we call these bases, so be aware of that as well. Pyramids, you have two types of pyramids. You have a rectangular pyramid, okay, which covers the square or rectangle, because all squares are rectangles. And then you also have the triangular pyramid where you can see the shape of that particular single base is a triangle. Okay? All right, some old things that we've talked about in younger grades. You have faces, edges, and a vertex or vertices is plural. And when you count them, you got to be super, super careful. Okay. We also have some solids that are not, let's talk about that word polyhedron again. Multiple are called polyhedra. Okay. Two solids that are not polyhedra are the cylinder and a cone. Okay. Because they don't have, they have their base, but they don't have the polygons as their sides. Okay, so your cylinder has this top and bottom base. Okay, and your cone has a circular base, and then instead of a vertex, they call this an apex. Okay, so just some things to be aware of. All right, describing three-dimensional figures. Let's talk about let's go ahead and do the vertices first. Vertices are just corners. So I would recommend to you making little like marks to help you count. So you can see that we have 8 vertices. You could name them and say vertex E, vertex A, vertex B, and so on. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the edges. So again, I'm going to make little notes here because you don't want to double count something. So I have my top, I have my bottom, that makes up 8 so far. And then the sides are just the vertical ones because I'm not going to recount the other. So I'm at 8, and we have 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12, and these are called edges, okay, rather than sides. Because it's three-dimensional. And then our faces, we have our front face and our back face. Okay, so that's 2 so far. We have the top and bottom, that's 4. And then both sides, 5, 6. So we have 6 faces. Okay, so you can see you just have to be really, really careful. Okay, all right, go ahead and try this on your own. You can pause the video and then I'll do it as well. All right, so faces, I have 1, 2, okay, top and bottom, left and right, that's 3 and 4, and then that back there, okay? So we have 5 faces. Something to understand when you're doing these is you may, after you make a note, you may want to also erase too so you don't confuse yourself. All right, edges are like sides. So I have this whole thing here, which is 3 We can repeat that for the bottom. So I'm at 6, and then I just have the verticals. 7, 8, 9. Okay. So we have 9 edges, and then I'm going to go ahead and erase and take a look at the vertices, which are our corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 vertices. Okay, so if you got that, you did well. All right, now let's get into cross sections. Cross sections can be cut 3 ways. You can have a horizontal cross section, a vertical cross section, or an angled cross section. Okay. When you cut them, I sort of want you to picture a stamp. So when you cut this, you can sort of look, you can see it, it's a little bit transparent through there. The question is, what kind of shape did you make, or what kind of stamp would it make if you did a horizontal cross section? So remember, horizontal, I always think when I was go to my grandma's after school, she would call me horizontal hutch because I would always fall asleep on the couch right away laying down. So horizontal is a plane that is running like left to right like that. And you can see that it results in a circle. So go ahead and write that there. Look at the vertical cross section and take a look at the shape it made. Okay, you have to visually sort of look right here. Okay, and if you thought rectangle, you are correct. And then an angled cross section of a cylinder, you can sort of see the shape it makes. Okay, it's not a pure circle like the horizontal cross section. If you thought or said oval, you are correct with this one. So just be aware of that cross section of a cylinder. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at more cross sections of different figures. Okay, so take a look at a horizontal cross section here. Okay, this is a pure horizontal. So don't get tricked by thinking it's something that it's not. Okay, this is just a rectangle. Okay, the next one, let's look at this cross section. Sometimes you're not going to see it. You're going to have to like think and visualize it. Okay, if you said triangle, you would be correct. And then this last one, look at the shape that it makes. I'm going to sort of visualize through here. What shape did that make? If you said a trapezoid, you would be correct. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at some more shapes. So here's one for you to try on your own. Go ahead and take a look at that and see what you think. Okay, so this is, because it's up and down, it's called a vertical cross section. And you can see the shape that it makes when it cuts that piece. Okay, so we're making a triangle. Okay, that would be the stamp that you would make. All right, let's take a look at some other figures. So this is a rectangular prism. So what does a horizontal cross section result in? Okay, you can see the shape here. If you said a rectangle, you would be correct. Be careful about saying square. If you're not 100%, it's going to be a square. If you say rectangle, you're guaranteed to be correct. If you say square, you have a chance that you're wrong if those side lengths aren't the same. So it's best to say rectangle. Vertical cross section results in, you can sort of look through or just think about that. You have another rectangle. Okay, because all squares are rectangles, you can get away with saying rectangle. All right, and then take a look at this one. Okay, you can see you actually have another rectangle. Okay, so this is the process with these. Go ahead and try this one on your own. Just think through that. Okay, you can't really see it, so you have to imagine it. Okay, of a triangular prism. If you said triangle, you would be correct. Okay. Think about, what if I just verbally said a horizontal cross section? Okay, and that would be through anything that is not at the top or the bottom. Okay, if you said, so we're talking about like cutting it like this. Okay, If you said a rectangle for that, you would be correct. Okay, so if I just slice it through here, okay, it would create a rectangle, okay, as a cross section. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at these. Here's some practice for you to do. Your homework is to do 1 through 8. So you can see here you have a pentagonal pyramid, and they're just asking you to find the number of faces, edges, and vertices. So make sure you label as you go here. And be really careful to count accurately. Okay, same thing for this triangular pyramid. I know it's a triangular pyramid because it has a triangle as a base. This one, they want you to say what shape would result from a horizontal cross-section, a vertical cross-section, and an angled. Okay, so you're going to have to imagine this getting cut horizontally. Okay, but the drawing's not there this time. Okay, so you have to sort of think through what shape that would make. Okay, and then think vertically. Okay, it's going to cut it straight down at the peak down through. What shape would that make? And then also an angled cross section. So it's actually a lot harder than you think when you actually don't see the cross section. So go ahead and give that a try, and then we can discuss it tomorrow. Number 4, a cylinder is shown. Same thing, horizontal, vertical, and angled. Okay, you can look at examples 2 and 3 if you need reminded about that. Okay, same thing for number 5. And then they're talking about a sphere here. A sphere and a cylinder probably won't be on your state testing. However, it's really good for you to think about anyway. It says, describe the shape resulting from a horizontal cross-section, a vertical cross-section, and an angled cross-section. So you can sort of think through that and make your response. 7 and 8 are your last two. Find the number of faces, edges, and vertices, and then describe a real-world object that resembles this figure. Pretty easy to come up with something. Same thing with number 8. That's it.